Hello again, friends. I wanted to take a few moments to kind of fix an issue that's been going on because of a mistranslated card effect. Some people are getting confused on how activated abilities work and how you pay the cost for them at resolution. For cards like Jackknife Dragon, they work exactly the way that you have learned that activated card effects work. It says you may pay to gauge. So if you use Jackknife Dragon's ability and they respond with a Death Grip, then you can choose not to pay the 2 gauge because it says may. However, other cards like, say, White Dragon Hermit Nanase say put a card from this card's soul into the drop zone. If you do, choose a card in your opponent's gauge and place that into their drop zone. So let's say that you use Nanase's skill, you target one of my gauge. If I use that gauge and respond to your effect by casting Death Grip on Nanase, Nanase will then be destroyed first, it will resolve, and you'll have to pay another soul after you just lost it from the destruction in order to resolve this effect, and then you try to destroy the gauge that's already been destroyed, so therefore the effect fizzles. So there are certain cases where you have these mandatory effects, and by activating them you can get royally screwed over if something happens and it causes your effect to fizzle. So those still exist, and card burn should technically function the same way as Nanase if you go by how it reads. However, the way it reads is incorrect because there was a mistranslation on Bushiroad's part. The way that this reads in Japanese is it says essentially you may pay 4 gauge and you may put Card Serpent, Card Rhino, and this unit into your drop zone. And the reason why this is so significant is because right now it just says pay 4 gauge, but it's supposed to be an inclusive resolution cost. So the thing that's going on that's causing so much confusion is that because this card was mistranslated and because there are issues surrounding this card, it's causing other people to think that, hey, this card just says pay 4 gauge. That means I don't have to pay 4 gauge for other effects like Gone Alchemia that just says, pay 4 gauge, destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. That is not true. Gun Alchemia's effect is mandatory, and you do have to pay the 4 gauge upon resolution if you have 4 gauge to pay. So I wanted to kind of point that out, make this a little bit better known that Cardburn isn't an exception, he's just mistranslated, and that this does not change the way that the effects read for activated abilities for the rest of the game. Mandatory effects are still mandatory, optional effects are still optional. Cardburn is just supposed to be read as an optional effect, and it's just mistranslated.